So, as you can see, Canetown has multiple green spaces for residents to enjoy. We have 2 public parks, one over here and one right here. They all have walking trails that go through the woods and around the park. Residents can explore the wetlands over here, and there's a walking path that goes along the river throughout the whole thing for biking and walking. And within our green spaces, there are a lot of educational opportunities, such as the community garden down here, where residents can learn to garden and appreciate gardening and growing their own food. The apartment buildings over here both have green roofs on top that residents can walk around in and enjoy. And they each have little courtyards in the middle.
Within Canetown, we pride ourselves on the way we produce energy and producing clean energy. Our 3 main sources of energy would be our landfill. Through our landfill, the production of methane, we burn that because there's nothing else you can really do with that methane that is produced. But our priority is not producing a lot of methane due to the lack of trash, because our citizens are very responsible with the amount of trash they produce. We also do pride ourselves in the amount of solar panels we have on our government buildings and different institutions that we've established, but we also have a lot on our living areas and other buildings that are privatized buildings because of subsidies that we offer if you have your own solar panels. And I think a lot of our citizens do see the positives of having solar panels due to saving money, not having to pay for it from electricity from our wind farms that we provide. So those are our 3 main sources of electricity in Canetown.
So in Canetown, in terms of transportation, our main source of public transportation is our bus system. And our buses over here, this is where buses come to get charged, and they're charged by the windmills. So they're all electric buses. We have another bus station over here and down here by the park. We encourage citizens in our environmental education center, we encourage citizens to purchase electric cars and hybrid cars, and we kind of emphasize the importance of that. So our parking garage by the apartment buildings down here has electric charging stations within that for those kind of citizens who want to purchase electric cars. And we provide subsidies for those people who do purchase electric cars. Over here we have our solar road. This solar road, although you can't see it, it basically outlines our whole town, kind of, but we just drew a little bit over there. And this is in order to reduce light pollution around our town, so when citizens drive their cars on the road, it lights up, and it's solar powered, so it works well. We have a lot of walkable paths and bike paths, and we encourage citizens to use that because our town is so walkable.
We also have an electric train in Canetown that runs above the city, so it doesn't take up any extra space or land usage. And this is run by solar power, which is on top of the train. Or if solar is not being adequate, we also can power it through wind. Within Canetown, we have a lot of different opportunities for our citizens to hang out, have fun, enjoy life, lay back, and be sustainable. We have a lot of different green spaces, such as our parks. We have at least 2 parks here. As you can see, they're pretty large. They have lots of walkable paths within them, and they do have playgrounds made out of sustainable materials, such as bark from trees and just other materials that are recycled that are put within this park. We do have a pool for our citizens, which is very exciting. We source that from the river, and we do clean the water in a sustainable way so that there's no extra pollutants or any extra energy used to clean that water. We encourage our citizens to get together in the community garden that we have provided and collaborate in those spaces to not only be sustainable but enjoy being sustainable. We also in Canetown have a farmer's market, which is a large place to socialize and buy food and shop. We also have large walking paths all along the river, all the way into the wetlands. You can run, bike, walk all along those paths.
So in Canetown, a majority of our residents who work in the city are housed in our 2 large apartment buildings. For those citizens who choose to live in the suburbs, which is a minimal amount of people who work in the city, our electric chain does make stops outside the city to pick them up, so they don't have to have a long commute in a car. For the people that work, we have many opportunities for employment. Basically, any building you see here has an opportunity for employment. We have 2 basically work buildings, which are where companies can rent out spaces to use in these empty buildings. There's opportunities at the police station, the private shopping center. You can work at the trash collection, composting, power plant, landfill, water treatment, farmers market, clothing collection and recycling. You can work at the school or the environmental education center, the community center, other work building, community garden, vertical farming, and fish farm are all opportunities for work within Canetown. Our apartment buildings are especially sustainable. In order to fulfill this, we have solar panels on half of each roof and the other half are green spaces. To promote community, we made a courtyard in the middle of each apartment building and sidewalks that connect the 2 apartment buildings to promote community.
In Canetown, we have our roads are all semi-permeable or permeable asphalt to reduce runoff. We also have them lightly colored to reduce heat pollution and to increase the albedo. We have these streets lined with solar lights and light posts that are motion censored, so for the most part, if people walk past them or drive past them, they will light up to reduce light pollution. We do encourage a lot of walking and riding bikes, so we have sidewalks and safe bike lanes for all of our residents so they're able to stay active and healthy while saving the environment and being sustainable by not excreting any extra pollutants.
So in Canetown, we really emphasize recycling, and there are many services within our city to make sure it stays clean and that waste is reduced as much as possible. So part of our mission is holding our citizens accountable for how much trash they produce. The average amount of trash that a person produces per day in America is about 4 pounds, so we're trying to get that down to 2 pounds. And because of our extensive clothing recycling, trash collection and recycling, composting center, we believe that our citizens should be producing about 2 pounds of trash per day, and if they go over the limit of 14 pounds per week, they get fined for this extra trash that they produced. And for the waste that we do produce, we have a landfill, and we use the methane from the landfill to produce power, so it all is eliminating waste as much as possible. If there are excess clothes, they can be sent to the collection center and rehabilitated so they can be sold again and recycled once again. And all of these centers and services that we provide in Canetown, if there are any profits made, say from like the clothing that was sold, typically those funds, or at least part of them, will go back into the whole recycling business that we have.
Within our town, we get our food from mainly the 2 vertical farms in town. We try to use as the least amount of land as possible, and we have these localized in different spaces around the town, so then people can walk to them if they want to buy produce directly from the vertical farm. But most of the produce from the vertical farm is sold through the farmers market. The vertical farm also produces fish. They rely on fish for nutrients for their crops, and so we also have fish farms below the vertical farms and within our river system right here. We have a free-range dairy and meat farm right here where we value animals' lives, and although we do eat them, we try to limit the amount of meat in our diet as much as possible, and see it more as a delicacy rather than an everyday sort of thing. And for the most part, we try not to package our food in anything that won't either decompose in the environment or can't be used again.
So a couple basic buildings that we have that every town should have is our police station, which has solar panels on top. and our hospital down here, which doesn't have solar panels, but it does have a helicopter pad on top, so we surrounded the helicopter pad with a little bit of greenery to kind of reduce the heat pollution. We also have a restaurant down here that also they decided as a company to purchase solar panels for the top of their roof. And we have our water treatment plant over here that is like any basic water treatment plant, and it kind of basically filters directly into the river after it's all clean. So then the river can kind of naturally continue the process of cleaning it. So for our school, which is K through 12, they do have a sustainability mission, which means they choose to do embedded education. So every single class has a little bit of sustainability in it, and that just makes it really prevalent in our students' minds. So when they grow up, they feel like they want to be sustainable. So even in like math or humanities or language, there's a little bit of sustainability in there. And then of course we have our environmental science courses. Right next to that is our environmental education center, which is all for the entire community, where they can learn why being sustainable is good, why composting is good, why the solar panels are there, and how these things work. So if they're ever curious as to why Canetown does what it does, they can come here and learn. And it's like a museum of our history of sustainability, and then education for why we do what we do, and plans for the future of Canetown.
We do have a large access to medical facilities such as our hospital. We do have this as a facility that is owned by our town. We don't love privatizing hospitals and different medical needs. We do allow it, but we encourage people to use the government-run facilities. And we do this by giving need-based pay on our care for our people and our patients. And we do this by socioeconomic status and what your income is and how much you can pay for your surgeries and how many surgeries you have. There's a lot considered within that deduction in cost. So overall, we try to reduce air and water pollution. Our air pollution is reduced through our clean energy. We only use wind, solar, and the only added air pollution would be through our methane burning, as the landfill does produce methane through the decomposition of the trash. But again, we reduce the amount of trash that our citizens throw away through finding them if they have extra trash, and through our very detailed waste management system, where we put a lot of time and effort in sorting through that to be able to reuse, reduce, and recycle all of the trash, and that helps to reduce the air pollution within our city. The water pollution is reduced through wetlands. We do have a wetlands directly attached to our city, which we're very lucky for that to help clean all those extra pollutants out of our water. We highly encourage not using synthetic fertilizers. We don't use that in any of our vertical farms or in our community garden. We use integrated pest management, and obviously in the vertical farms it is inside, so that reduces pests and the need for either extra fertilizers, which is through the fish, and hormones used within our fish. We try very hard not to use extra hormones or medicine within our fish.
So in Canetown, we try to use land for multiple uses as much as possible. So our landfill, when it's full, it's covered with grass and different native plants, so it's not just grass. And then on top of that, we add windmills. Down here in our dairy and meat farm, we also have windmills just kind of scattered throughout, so they don't disturb the cows or any of our animals, but they do provide a little extra energy. A lot of our buildings just have solar panels to increase getting as much energy as possible. All of our parks have multiple uses, such as recreation, relaxation, education, etc. So in Canetown, we believe that our town will last for a long time mainly because of our education. We educate in the school and the public in the education center on why being sustainable is good. We don't force them to be sustainable by any means, but we do incentivize it through subsidies and tax deductions and things like that. So it's really encouraged. Sustainability is all around the people, so they become proud of Canetown and they love living here. And because of our education center, they know why it's good. They're not just doing it to do it, and so that's why we think it's going to last forever. And actually, we just came upon a Canetown citizen in the wild doing what Canetown citizens love to do, and that's use natural materials in their fashion. Here's our example, Catherine, right now, with her very fashionable flower crown. She made it out of all natural materials, and when she's done with it, she'll give it back to the earth where it belongs.